Donald Trump says U.S. forces will end operations in Iran very soon and could be gone within 2 to 3 weeks. It's the latest timeline for withdrawal set by the U.S. president. Speaking at the White House, Trump said Tehran does not have to make a deal for the U.S. to end its war.
The U.S. will be gone or done with the war in 2
I
or 3
think
weeks?
with 2 or 3 weeks.
Not 3 weeks. If it is
We'll
3
leave.
weeks.
No, they don't have to make a deal with me. When we feel that they are, for a long period of time, put into the Stone Ages and they won't be able to come up with a nuclear weapon, then we'll leave. Whether we have a deal or not, it's irrelevant.
Meanwhile, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has told Al Jazeera that Tehran has no trust in Washington and no negotiations are happening. Well, after as Trump spoke in the Oval Office on Tuesday, the White House made an announcement on X. The press secretary says, tune in tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. President Trump will give an address to the nation to provide an important update on Iran. Rosalind Jordan reports from Washington, D.C.
He talked about several dynamic elements of the war on Iran, including the fact that regime change had not been one of the U.S.'s original goals when it started the airstrikes on February 28th. But he said several times there has been regime change, and the people who are now running the country are people with whom the U.S. can engage, even though the Iranians insist there are no negotiations underway to end the war. One thing that Donald Trump also talked about was the fact that in the U.S.'s view, Iran's ability to try to build a nuclear weapons program has been set back 15 to 20 years, although he did not present any concrete evidence to that point. What he did not stress, however, was what would happen at the end of any such conflict to the uranium stockpile, more than 600 kilograms of processed enriched uranium. Who would take control of it? Would it be removed from the Iranian territory? And what else needed to be done to secure that stockpile? Does that mean U.S. ground troops are going in? That's another point that Donald Trump did not touch.
You're going to get the view from Tehran now. Tawkat Asadi joining us live. Donald Trump saying U.S. forces could end operations in Iran very soon, and also that apparently Tehran does not have to make a deal for the U.S. to end the war. Do we have any response yet from Tehran on those messages from Donald Trump?
Well, actually, no official direct response to that statement, but what we hear from Iranians, and specifically Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, is readiness for a prolonged war of attrition on the one hand, and that Iran is not going to negotiate with the United States directly on the other. But still, we know that there are mediated communications via different countries, including Pakistan. And again, on that, Iran came out to call the 15-point proposal by Washington to be maximalist and extremely unreasonable. So diplomatically speaking, it seems that the two sides are poles apart. And of course, when it comes to the battlefield, we see the continuation of the airstrikes from both sides. Americans and Israelis are continuing their campaign of airstrikes. Over the past 24 hours, we witnessed the sustained nature of these airstrikes on the one hand, and on the other, Iranians are talking about their retaliatory strikes. But speaking of the context, we have to keep in mind that it's not easy for Iranians to talk to Americans, and specifically to Trump administration, first due to the complex nature of the issue and so many knots to be untangled, including Strait of Hormuz, including the continued nature of airstrikes and other issues. And second, we know that there is a historical context to that. Iranians are saying that we were engaged in negotiation with the Americans not once but twice over the past 9 months, and all of a sudden we faced these airstrikes, and now they're looking for stopping, as we heard from the spokesperson for the government, Fatemeh Mohajirani, the other day. They're looking for stopping this cycle of war, peace, and war. They're looking for a sustained way of actually guaranteed continued security for the country as one of the key objectives when it comes to a potentiality of diplomatic settlement.
In the meantime, Taqit, of course, attacks still going on in Iran. Just bring us up to speed with what we know about those.
Yeah, latest is the continued the air strikes across the capital. We saw that specifically in cities near the Tehran, the capital. In Malad, a residential complex was recently targeted. Also, a few hours ago, an area in downtown Taleghani Avenue was targeted, in which local sources are saying that even the building of former U.S. embassy in Iran has been also impacted, but the scope goes well beyond the capital. We know that in other cities now, specifically steel-related infrastructure is being targeted. We know that again near Tehran, a pharmaceutical company was attacked, Fulad Mubarakeh, which is very important. Still, a facility was targeted, as well as Bandar Abbas, Burujan, and Bushehr, in which other infrastructural places have been impacted or directly hit.
Taqit Asadi there in Tehran. Thank you very much.